Hello, my friends. Glad to be back. Today is 20th December. Now it's 11:30 in the morning, Moscow time. And I did chose few topics to talk about in this video because I think you may find it interesting. And first topic that are making headlines in Russian media outlets is that Russian national currency is entering some turbulent times. Let me open media outlets straight away. Here we have RBK News Agency. There's many news outlets that are writing about this, but they choose this agency. We have here numbers. Russian ruble has dropped its position significantly, and it's now an exchange rate now is 69 ruble for one US dollar. Euro is even more stronger. 1 euro is 74 rubles. This is quite significant drop because if you remember a few months ago, especially after Putin, Russian president, did give orders to economical bloc of government to sell Russian gas only in rubles, Russian gas and some other commodities only on rubles. Russian currency became quite strong for a while. I was thinking, we may even see exchange rate like $1, 30 or 35 rubles. I was thinking that's a good exchange rate, good for Russian society, because it will cause deflation, significant deflation, and that means with our wages we would be able to purchase more goods. But same time, I was thinking that Russian economical bloc, Russian Central Bank and Ministry of Finances will try to devaluate Russian ruble in order to achieve some extra income for federal budget. And it seems like I was exactly right. Since those times, Russian ruble was dropping its position like little by little, almost on a weekly basis. And now we have exchange rate that almost the same as before start of special military operation and all those sanctions that West did put on Russia or against Russia. And I will try to explain why Russian government does this kind of stuff. First of all, we probably all know that many foreign companies did left Russia. Many of them stopped operating in Russian economy, and as a result, of course, Russian federal budget did lost some income. That's obvious. But because Russian governmental system is not really agile one, it cannot react fast enough on new developments. They could not stimulate Russian economy in a proper way. And what I mean by that is that they should use federal reserves to help little and middle-sized businesses to grow, to keep up with the problems, and to even grow. And basically, that's how economy should be run. I mean, you take any one successful country, small business and middle-sized business play a crucial role in those countries. But in Russia, in this oligarchic economical system, government don't really cares that much about small business or helping middle-sized businesses. They talk too much about this subject, but they truly never do anything to help them, almost anything, you know. And that's why now when Russian budget is having some trouble with income, with the deficit, they did choose this easy way to fill up a budget, and they are devaluating Russian currency. And if not all of you are familiar with some economical or financial elements of it, I will explain myself. I mean, let's say budget is receiving $100 when exchange rate is, for example, 50 rubles for $1. In that case, $100 or $1, let's say, will give budget 50 rubles, isn't it? But if exchange rate is, let's say, 69 or 70 rubles for $1, then Russian budget is receiving 69 or 70 rubles for every single dollar. And that means increase in budget's income almost by 40%, you know, 35%. And that's huge, man, when we are talking about billions and billions of dollars that were exchanged on Russian rubles, because Russia does make billions and tens of billions of dollars by exporting its goods. So when that much money is converted in rubles, of course Russian budget is filling up with this extra amount that was created from thin air, we can say, just because they manipulate with the exchange rate. As I said, this is easy way to deal with the problems, but in my understanding, those traitors that are running Russian economy, they are intellectually too stupid. I mean, they may know how to steal, but they don't know how to build anything, you know, how to create. And that's why they are always going with easy way, and they are ruining Russian economy, and they are ruining life of Russian society, because you can bet, man, that after this significant drop in valuation of Russian currency, we will see sharp rise in inflation, in prices. And you know, low income or middle income households definitely gonna feel this, even though right now prices are quite high, man. I mean, no one can say that in Russia, even though Russia is producing many goods, you know, some may say that, you know, prices in Russia must be a little bit lower than in Europe, for example, but that's not always the case. Or I may say that's almost never the case, you know. So it is what it is, man. This is big news, this devaluation of Russian currency. And as I said, middle and low income households definitely gonna feel this, because inflation will may not skyrocket, but will increase significantly, you know. That's one news that I did like to talk about, but this is not the only one. Here we have a TASS news agency which is writing that even though European elites, one by one, or elites of the EU states, one by one upload the price cap on Russian oil. They are almost having some kind of a challenge, which country will make more harsh anti-Russian statements. I mean, you can see here that Poland, for example, which is which has extremely Russophobic and anti-Russian elites. Poland is asking Russian Transneft company, who is transporting Russian oil by pipelines. Poland is asking Russian Transneft company to transport to Poland in the next year some 3 million tons of oil. And in this December, 360,000 tons. So, I mean, even though they are, like, as I said, man, they are challenging each other in West, which country will drop more aggressive statement against Russia. I mean, if you ask them, they don't need Russia anyway. Fact of the matter is that Poland for next year asking Russian side to provide some 3 million tons of oil. And in this December, before end of this year, they are asking for additional 360,000 tons. And same time, Transneft did receive purchase for transit of oil from Germany too. You know, so that's quite interesting news. It does shows you how much liars, you know, and you know how much liars those Western elites are, man. They are telling the society one thing, and in practice they are doing exactly the opposite time to time, or maybe most of the time. So this is a quite interesting move. I did not see in this information price, in what price Poland is buying this oil, because Transneft didn't sell anything. They are just transferring oil from Russia to Europe, but I'm quite sure Russia will not sell its oil, not to Poland, not to Germany, not to anyone, under the market value. At least Russia will don't sell oil to countries that are asking to buy oil in a price cap price. To be honest, you know, I'm not happy that Russia is selling oil to European states, because oil or gas or anything really, because we are in a war with Europe, with European elites. I'm not talking about societies, but we definitely are in the war with the European states. And in my understanding, Russian government committing treason, supplying energy to the enemy. As simple as that. That's how I see this, you know, and that's how many people in Russia do see this. Only difference is that I do talk about it, and I don't give a damn who will like it or not. And many people, they just keeping it for themselves, or they are talking in their close circle with friends and family members. You know, not everyone does have or want to have a YouTube channel, so it is what it is. But anyhow, information is probably significant. So yes, what else, man? Let's go and check some other media outlets. This is Lentalu. We see here that this devaluation of Russian currency does make headline on this media outlet too. Kommersant magazine. So, I mean, nothing huge here. So yes, I did talk about these two topics, about Russian currency and about Russian oil transit to Europe. And now I will spend a few minutes to talk about yesterday's big news, which was a meeting between Putin and Lukashenko, leader of the Belarus. Probably you noticed that in Western media outlets, even more after this meeting, even more so-called experts did start talking about possibility of Belarusian involvement in conflict in Ukraine. But in my understanding, I mean, I don't really see that Belarus will enter this conflict. Now there are talks in not just in Western media about new offensive of Russia from Belarusian territory in direction of Kiev, for example. But as I said, like a few days ago in one of my videos, I don't see enough forces in Belarus, Russian forces, that are enough to conduct such a large-scale offensive. But what I may say is that, in my opinion, Belarus may provide Russia with weaponry, with artillery, with tanks, for example, and armored personal carriers, and that's a big help because probably you are familiar with the news that Russian side for the last few months starting using tanks, T-62 tanks, for example, that were produced some 50 years ago, you know, even more. And if Belarus will provide Russia with more modern T-72 tanks, for example, that will, of course, count as a great help. But I don't see how Belarus itself is entering this conflict. I just don't see it. And then when it comes to offensive operation, to be honest, I don't think that it's very logical right now to push towards Kiev from Belarusian territory or from Russian territory, because main objective for now for Russian side must be control over the borders, western borders of Ukraine, so that NATO member states will not be allowed no more to send weapons to Zelensky's Nazi regime. And sometime in the future, we may see offensive operation of Russia with this goal to take control on the western borders of the Ukraine, because that does make sense. Only after that you can talk about advances towards big cities, because I mean, before Western elites are able to, easily penetrate this border with Ukraine and send hundreds and thousands of units of heavy equipment, artillery, armored personal carriers, and tanks, and so on. As long as this is happening, I don't see logic behind attacking some big cities. I mean, first of all, you should shut down logistics of your enemy, and that means to control roads that are used to to supply this to your enemy. So I don't think Russia will advance towards Kiev right now, but I think Russia may try to establish control over and this control may be not necessary, like it's not necessary Russian soldiers to be there physically, as long as they have fire control over those territories. That's good enough, because then you can shell and destroy anything, any military convoy that moving on that road. The same you can say about railway. So yes, in the future we may see, in my understanding, Russian push towards borderline of Ukraine with EU member states. But even that is I mean, it's a far away future, because in next month or two, I don't think Russia will be able to carry out such a large-scale operation. Yet again, who knows, man? But that's what my take on this topic is right now. So yes, I hope you find my today's video interesting. And if so, please consider to subscribe on my channel, leave some commentary, and share with your friends. Link to my videos or to my channel, and that will of course greatly increase my chances to reach wider audience. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a nice day and take care. See you tomorrow.